Chuckie Akenz. Chuckie Akenz. Yeah, Chuckie Akenz. I don't really know him, but he reminds me a lot of this certain people in Canada. Chuckie Akenz. And he has some really good music too. From Jane and Finch. Which isn't a bad neighborhood. It's a place a lot of people live. It's a good place. Kind of like Canada's O Block. O Block is very big in Chicago for being a famous neighborhood that a lot of folks come from or what have you. And um, Jane and Finch is also much like it. It's the buildings, just like O Block is buildings. And there's a lot of buildings and there's a lot of videos. News has went down there a lot of times, a lot of videos, a lot of ceremonies, a lot of music. And one of the new music people that I fell in love with the guy was this Chuckie Akenz. And I never heard of him until a couple days ago when I was remembering like a late friend of mine, which I really wish it never happened, that she had passed away. And she happened to be Vietnamese. And Chuckie Akenz is highly relatable. And I think this is him now. He looks great in this photo. And this was Chuckie Akenz when he did his videos. He was very professional, Chuckie Akenz, the way that he did his videos, I think. That's how it was supposed to be. And like, I don't know, Vietnamese, like, we got along and we still do. I had problems understanding them. They had a little problems understanding a lot of other people and me. I guess when I came back to Canada, if you're talking about me or whatever. I was a big fan of that guy on YouTube. I got to know him, but not like a Chuckie Akenz, because Chuckie Akenz is Canadian, Toronto. Chuckie Akenz, yeah, and that one reminds me a lot of Susie. And but now it helps me understand, I guess, what Susie's perspective was too. Okay, because I never understood Susie's perspective really, but she didn't understand mine. And she didn't understand, I guess, and somehow her address got leaked. Not leaked. Somebody gave her address to a really bad person and she didn't have proper security. Chuckie Akenz, he has property security. StacksAMilli, he has proper security. Because when Chuckie Akenz started his music, he knew what he was doing. He wanted to become Chuckie Akenz, and then he was going to change his whole thing. And now look how Chuckie Akenz looks and all that. Or the guy that did Chuckie Akenz's videos. He deals with a professional guy, this Paul Nguyen and everything. And I heard about the Nguyen, or I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. I always said just like I said it, Nguyen. That's how they said. I think it was Susie was the one that told me about this family, and then I started to see it more and more the family, and then I started to see more and more of even her family, the Tran family, because my niece is a Tran. But I was so young at the time of her death. She was close to 8 years older than me. She had 8 years of experience that I hadn't had, but I knew that my opinions were gonna get me farther than what the hell they were doing. My brother and all them. They were doing this bad. Well, they weren't doing that bad of stuff, but they were being like a Chuckie Akenz. I've heard of that before. Oh, he's being like a Chuckie Akenz. But then I said Chuckie Akenz did it really smart, I think. He had the, I mean, watch the song I just listened to, with the You Got Beef.
Yeah, Vietnamese nigga, Chuckie Akenz. Đánh tao hả? Brilliant nigga. Yeah, yo. You want me? We rock it. We'll never stop. We don't care. There won't be no more peace. It's all about Vietnamese. You want me? We rock it. We'll never stop. We don't care. There won't be no more peace. It's all about Vietnamese. Yeah, man, Mike, what the fuck you niggas wanna be? I'm a fucking Vietnamese and I'll knock your fucking teeth. What you cats know about swinging swords to someone's head? And you better make sure that motherfucker's dead. Cause if he's not, man, he better watch his fucking self. Fuck with Vietnamese, cause they're bad for your health. We were born to fucking fight and we'll leave you in a mess. The minute you talk, you get machetes to your chest. From the east to the west, we known as fucking killers, drug dealers. We the group to stay real là vòng. Bây giờ mình đánh thì mình đánh cho mà chết, hãm đánh thì mình bắn mà say young, giết my heart is bit hot. What the fuck you gonna do? Every Vietnamese bro with 100 in the crew, every different school overpraised with jigs and pool. Don't fuck with the groups, that's the number one rule. Yo, you want me? We rock it. We'll never stop. We don't care. There won't be no more peace. It's all about Vietnamese. You want me? We rock it. We'll never stop. We don't care. There won't be no more peace. It's all about Vietnamese. Fucking gook on the block that holds it down. Other people selling those while this gook is selling pounds. I drop you to the ground like ducks from Nintendo. Cut slanty up, break his head with an extendo. Sit back with cemento, mouth out like yeah. Can if you ain't bit, then son you ain't shit. Wanna beef with my clique, we can war some more. And we won't stop fighting till your chests are torn, till your face is scorned, till your blood squirts out. To the moment we break your motherfucking mouth, either north or south. It really don't matter. Every Vietnamese gook gon' show you who's better, who fights with more anger, who dies with more pride, who fights forever till none of you alive. I'm a Viet for life, I'm a clip for life. 21 clips, motherfucker, Jane and Finch. You want me? We rock it. We'll never stop. We don't care. There won't be no more peace. It's all about Vietnamese. You want me? We rock it. We'll never stop. We don't care. There won't be no more peace. It's all about Vietnamese. Yeah, rep your motherfucking blood with your pride, motherfuckers. We the realest motherfuckers in the world, understand? Ain't no other Asians can test.
Wow, so this Paul Nguyen guy, he's the owner of JaneFinch.com. Jane-Finch.com. But it's a very famous video platform. It's a YouTube channel. And then they got this website too and everything. And they go back like a lot of years, all the way to the 90s, I think. I seen them when I was down in Tennessee on my father's property. Acres and acres I'm sitting on. And then I was like, hey, there's nothing to watch. I want to see Toronto. And this was before I got to see, my family's from Toronto. I'm born in Canada. And that's when I first seen Jane and Finch and all that was on my computer down in the state of Tennessee. And this is the only set of eyes really that really showcases America. But they don't understand what the Jane and Finch is. And like I said, it's almost like that O Block in Chicago. But man, look at how formal it is. I mean, look at Paul. I mean, he is a full out, wow, I think he's either something's going on with the Ontario, he's a PC or whatever, PC party, or I don't know, he's a politician or whatever, but he's pretty high up. All right. And he started out in this Jane and Finch. And like I said, it's not just rap music and a lot of the rap music is just sort of fictional stories or ambitions, sort of to create a picture or movie or video or the music itself. A fantasy lifestyle, sort of a movie that they're making with these short films, musicals. But then also they have all these community videos this man's done, I guess. But I never knew it was a singular person or group of people or what have you. It was just known, it's just known jane-finch.com on the internet. When you first find it, it's kind of like I first seen like some of the really sort of scary hood videos. They're titled scary, the thumbnail's scary. I think that's how he started. And then he started to get into the music, and then he started to get into the politics and the community. I don't know, but he's really big, this guy. Anyways, but yeah, I got to watch that one. I watched a couple of these community ones. They have this community center in the Jane and Finch neighborhood. It's a huge neighborhood when I say neighborhood. They have this community center there and they do all types of performances. They do more than that. There's basketball. It's a really nice, pretty nice. I would call it a lot of neighborhoods in Toronto are very multicultural. Their focus is very family oriented and they are very multicultural in their way their style is, sort of their education, their way of life, their law, their politicking. It's pretty multicultural, even for Uncle Bob and his Vietnamese children. But here's the thing, I'm what they would call a white person too, and I have a Vietnamese niece. Well, I have two Vietnamese nieces, they say, and whatnot, and what have you. Well, I know they do. Well, I don't know if one's Vietnamese and one's another thing, but I do have Asian family and all that, and I never thought I would, and I do, and what have you. Um, it looks like Paul's pretty successful. He looks like he's like higher up than even me when it comes in certain areas. But I may be higher. See, that's the thing. I won't give up on myself because I also know that I am valuable and I may have certain things that Paul might not have. Like I have a nicer monitor than Paul, but it looks like Paul might have a nicer desk or chair, or he might own his home and I don't own my home. But what I see with Paul is that the website is good, the YouTube is good, and the everything more. He's got store and the community thing, and not even that, but also the word of mouth, like how big it all is in the community. Yeah, this Jane and Finch is great. And then it's just a normal neighborhood that you could roll through on a bus or in your car or accidentally end up there, because there's a courthouse over by the Jane and Finch. So if you ever get arrested for anything, say you're drinking, you say you come from the United Kingdom, you're at the pub in Toronto, you could end up near the Jane and Finch if you're leaving the courthouse after you get your bail or what have you. And that's what happened to me. And I think somebody took me over there to the Jane and Finch. Canadian Forces targets recruitment in Toronto, but I don't think I'd ever go. And I got to go to this Jane and Finch Mall. And I've been to a lot of the malls in the GTA, and I would rate it as being another mall in the Greater Toronto area. And it was clean, and I went in there, and there was all types of stores, and they had like a different kind of jewelry store that I was looking for. It was like they had really nice quality replica jewelries. Well, not replica jewelries, but CZ. Whereas I just wanted to get a CZ thing at the time. They had a big one with the CZs and all that, and they had another place and all that. So I went in there, but then they also got, Popeyes, all different restaurants, and then you can just hop on the bus or take your EV or electric vehicle now we have. Canada's changed a lot, Ones that used to be on the city bus now have electric scooter, or ones that used to ride city bus now have cars, or one that had car now has nothing, or whatever, you know what I mean? A lot has changed. But I realize it all comes down to that hunger. You got to get nice and hungry and all that. And that food will really make something out of itself if you're properly using your food to be productive. Like that, Paul Nguyen and Jane and Finch, he was productive. And somebody will say, Paul still lives in Jane and Finch because they call it Jane and Finch, but there's all different names. Actually, Jane is a big road and they call it a strip, kind of like the Las Vegas Strip. But there's a one guy, he really calls it the Strip, the Jane Strip. I think there's a couple guys, they all call it the Jane Strip, you know. It's a home run over on the Jane Strip. And but the Jane Strip is like it's a whole load of different streets and restaurants, sit downs, bodegas, really nice places. Okay, I've been to the Jane area and the Finch. But yeah, he made a lot out of Jane and Finch. I'm very proud of him because sometimes you get caught in your own self and you think you're the only person that's made something out of it. And then I get to go look at something like that and I'm like, wow, I got a lot more work to do. Look at somebody like him. He's got the amazing website. It's up, stable. He's got other things. And that's where we're all at. We're all ready. We're almost, I think everybody's almost ready to start really making some new big breakthroughs. Whether it comes to food, if you need that, because I'm tired of hot dogs and I'm tired of sugar and I'm tired of that. And I've had a lot of breakfast fries. One thing I wanted to have was a lot of those, well, breakfast fries. A lot of people would think I was talking about fries with breakfast ingredients on it, but I meant fry ups. That's what they call in the United Kingdom, like when they're frying. Because I've had so many breakfasts that I started calling it a fry up because look at how greasy it is. Once you start calling it a fry up, that means you're generally just having way too much grease in the beginning. It means you're being a fat pig. Oh, mate, I'm having a fry up, mate. Frying it right up, mate. Having another fry up, mate, and all that. But that happened to me because I wanted to have a lot of fry ups or whatever in the hell. And I wanted to have the traditional English breakfast. So I got to have that a couple times. And all different restaurants from that Boomers and Teeswater to Giggling Tomatoes in Brampton to the Pickle Barrel. I've been to so, how about Friends, with my friend Judith. And all different places. Fast food galore. That was always a dream. Hey, that is what you're going to achieve. If it's fast food you want in Canada, you're going to get it. Or America. You're going to get it legally. Because it's a product just like anything else. You have to legally buy your cappuccino or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you're gonna enjoy that if that's what you need. Right now, food, I have to identify certain foods that I want. Maybe apples are good. Maybe get some apples. They're not too expensive. You can get an abundance of apples. Actually, there's an apple tree around me. So everybody's got different food choices that they're trying to make. But food, there's different purposes. It's either to grow, to relax. You're either going to choose that food to relax, to grow, to get energy, to just go to sleep, to just eat. You're just hungry, all right? To really get the smell of it, enjoy the sweetness and all that, to indulge. There's all different reasons why you might choose different foods. To become smarter, but I think I'll recommend don't do too much SpaghettiOs, even though you've seen this commercial of the SpaghettiOs. You want to mix that with maybe something good, not like that. Like how about some nice cereal with milk is really good when you're growing, or yogurt is really good when you're growing. It's really refreshing for your mind. Instead of, if you're gonna choose, like, say, cans and cans of SpaghettiOs, no, you have a little bit of SpaghettiOs maybe, and then you have some cereal with some cold milk. It's refreshing with the drink, but then or not even that, just maybe a swig of milk. Cold milk is all right, and that's very good for your brain health. I'd say is cold milk, and but at the same time, you want to watch. You'll know, hey, if you hear something in your mind say you shouldn't be having grain or you shouldn't be having that cereal because it's too much, then that's probably way too much. But a nice healthy bowl of cereal really hits the spot for your brain because it doesn't just fill you and your organs and all that, but it also refreshes your entire body completely. It's very refreshing, and that's a very important thing for your daily health to survive for many years and whatnot. We love our refreshing drinks. Alcohol or not with alcohol is a really big thing for me. Just not with alcohol is very much more hydrating. Don't feel guilty. That's what I was a kid. Oh my God, I felt like I was poor because I didn't have any alcohol in my drink. I just wanted to have a drink but don't fall for that gimmick. You're way more cooler, way more smart, way more better to just have your drink without any alcohol in it. And it's very hydrating. You're going to feel so good. But then you get too much sugar. That's why I like a lot of ice cubes that will water it down. And then you get tired of citrus. You got berries and whatnot. But then you get tired of it altogether. You just like ice water. This is a very refreshing infused water. So it's ice water, but then they infuse the water with the berries or whatever and all that. They have the berries and all that or whatever. But my channel's got nothing to do with that. Healthy Nut's going to come soon. Unfortunately, the original owner of Healthy Nut gave up on it, and the only person that might start that again is me. And if I ever do, it'll be on healthynut.net. It'll look pretty much almost the exact same, except it'll be under my ownership, and I will just like make videos and you'll hear about and I'll reference. You can go on our blog, Healthy Nut, and download or look at the blog or go on the store and all that. But it's going to take years and years. But I guess certain people don't understand it. But those are the people that generally don't get those special things. They maybe have green juice and there's certain things, but they'll never have the cool technologies and all that I could get unless they pay cold hard cash. So they best get into a new business. If they want to start affording those things, they got to start getting into some sort of new business, legal business, and start paying the cold hard cash for what they want, because you just can't steal it and you just can't take it either. You got to come up with a proper, and that's the thing, but that won't work out because you're the one that gave up on that website, even though it was a great website. You're supposed to pay the bill on the website every year, month, or whatever, and that's why you lost your website. You didn't even pay the $10 or $100 hosting bill, and now the website's just non-existent because you failed to pay the hosting bill and you failed to let the developer that you hired know that you weren't going to pay the hosting bill. And you would call them all the time, everything was fine or whatever, and all that. You can scratch a scratch ticket. Pride launch prevents leaks.